So the first thing you want to do is get your car up on jack stands. Make sure that wherever you have them located, the car is properly lifted and secured. Always check them before going underneath. I am using the lift point for my particular vehicle here, the CRV, which is right here. Next, we want to remove this access panel so that we can get to the drain plug. The front of the vehicle, I am on the left side, pointing towards the right side of the vehicle. The front of the vehicle is to the left of this frame. Here's the front frame member, and there's two bolts here. Take a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, and this is the outline. It's got a tab here that goes in and a tab there, and it goes around. Once you remove those two bolts, this will flop down. Then it's just a matter of moving it forward. There's a slot there, and it'll come right out, so you can get that out of your way. Okay, there's the drain plug you need, which is right here. Now I'm looking, this time I'm looking, this is the left side of my vehicle. That's the left tire coming up into that opening that you created when you took the access panel off, and you'll see that, and you'll see it's a square drive. Okay, now I'm going to be using a square socket. Okay, I'm going to use a square socket with a 3/8 drive. You could use a 3/8 drive handle to take that off, but I'm going to go ahead and use this 3/8 square and then put that on a 3/8 drive handle. Next, I'm going to start the car and hold the idle to about 3,000 RPM until the fans come on, the cooling fans. You want the transmission warm, the fluid, so that way, and I'm in drive or park, you want to get the oil warm. Okay guys, now that that's warm, I went ahead and loosened it up, but I'll tell you what, I had to use a long bar to break that. It was pretty tight. You can see it's starting to leak now. I've got just a couple threads loose. You can see the gasket there. You want to make sure that gasket comes off. You see it right there moving. Okay, so, and I've got a new one I'm going to put on. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this, let it drain, and but don't be afraid. If you've got a standard ratchet handle, length wouldn't do it. I had to put a long one on there and then just give it a nice tug, and it came right free loose. So let's see what this drain plug looks like. Now my vehicle's got 91,800 miles, and this is the first time that I've actually changed transmission fluid. So there's the original O-ring. Not O-ring, but gasket, aluminum gasket. And let's just see what this looks like. See if I can get that to focus better. So here's what I wiped off on paper. Really isn't anything. Okay, so now I cleaned the drain plug off with lacquer thinner, wiped it down. Next, I want to change the, before I put any oil back in, I left the drain plug off. I'm going to pull this air cleaner system off. I want to change the transmission filter. Now, when I checked with the dealer about it, he says, oh, we never change them. He said they last a lifetime. I'm not sure why he said that, but I decided I'm going to go ahead and change it. Okay, so what I did then was take apart the air holes, or the intake air parts off, the top part of the air filter housing, the lower part that goes in here. I've got that covered. And then I also had to pull the lower part of the air filter box, which looks like this. This is the front side bolt. This takes a 10mm socket, and the nice thing about it is when you loosen it, it doesn't come all the way out. It can't come out, which is nice. So you loosen that. Then on the back side, you really got to tug. On the back side, you'll see these grommets, rubber grommets. Those go into these posts back here on this post here and this post here. So you've got to kind of pull up hard. Just keep pulling up side to side in the back, and then it'll pop loose. Once you get just take the front bolt out first. Okay, so I've put a light down here. This hose, and this is underneath your air box, so that's why you've got to pull that air filter box. This is hose, goes to the top of the transmission, and there's the top of your filter that we're going to change. And I've got this, that's probably a 10mm, I'll check, and it's got a strap around it. So, and it looks like, yeah, so you see where it joins there. So that strap, once you take it off here with that bolt right here, that strap will just pull back and will come off. You can see it wrapped around right there. Now I dropped my light. So, we'll give that a try. Okay, this is really a pain to get into. So, the bracket that holds the air box, the bottom of the air filter box, I took the top bolt off and the front bolt on the front side of that bracket and loosened the back side so that I could kind of move it around so that I could get in here the quarter inch square drive 10mm socket. And then I was able to get the bracket off. Then I pulled the holes off this side, top side of the transmission, took the clamp off there. Now I'm going to try to get the clamp on the other side, on the bottom here. On the bottom side, right there, you'll see it just below the filter. Try to get that off. And then take it off the hose. Put the new one on. Here's the new filter. I did take some of the transmission fluid, clean transmission fluid, and put some on the nipple here, like you see here, on here, and then put the hose back on, and then put the clamp. When it sets in your vehicle, this is the top part. It sets like this. The short side of this lip goes down. The long side goes up. So it would sit in your vehicle just like this. This is the top part of it. This side faces down. Now I did get some new clamps, but these seem just fine, so I'm going to keep these. But this is what the new clamp number would be if you wanted the clamps. And one reason why I'm not putting a new clamp on is I've only bought two, one for the top and bottom, but then I took this one off, so I don't have a third, and this one's fine. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just gonna reuse the clamp. Now as to the filter, this is the one you need. Okay, I've got the new filter connected down at the bottom, but I've left it loose up here. I've not left it on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my bracket on that goes around that filter. Do that, tighten it down, then put this hose on, and then I'll reassemble the bracket for the lower half of the air filter assembly. Okay, I got that back together. It was a real pain in the ass as far as I'm concerned. It just doesn't give you much room to work. I've got the bracket reinstalled here, for the air cleaner base box, the bracket that goes down. The new filter's been installed, hose clamps are all on, and I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together now. Okay guys, I've got everything put back together, so we're good to go. Now we're going to go ahead and add the fluid. Okay, here's your dipstick to check it and to fill in here. And one thing I did neglect to say in the beginning, there you see where you fill it. When I drained the oil, I made sure, okay, there it's capped. I made sure that it was up like this so that you would have free flow. So I did loosen this up just like this. I left the dipstick in, but just loosened it up, pulled it out, and then just set it there. That way the oil could drain free. Okay, so as you can see, there's still a little dripping. I've wiped it off, but there's still a little dripping coming out of there. So, but the area's clean. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the new washer with the old drain plug with a new crush washer. You can see the new crush washer. Going to hand tighten that, wipe the area off, and then I'm going to go ahead and torque it down. Now, as I said earlier, you can use a square drive end 3/8. I like using just a square without that ball because it goes in here and it doesn't stick. It doesn't tend to want to catch where the ball will, but it's perfectly fine if you don't have a square to use your square drive end of the ratchet handle. This is a snap-on 3/8 square drive socket, 3/8 square head and 3/8 square drive socket. That's the 20 foot-pounds. Okay, the final torque, guys, was 36 foot-pounds, which is the spec for this plug. Okay guys, we're ready to refill the system. It calls for 2.7 quarts. So I've got my funnel into the fill hole, the fill tube. It's of extreme importance that the funnel is clean. I like to use my funnels for one particular oil or item that I'm going to use. I always make sure it's that. I always mark them and label them so that they're always used for that. Put them in a container to keep them clean. And I always make sure I'll put a little lacquer thinner sprayed in there and blow it out dry and make sure there's no debris. You absolutely want to make sure you have clean oil going in. So now we're ready to put in, what I'm going to initially do is put in 2 quarts. The fluid I'll be using is a Honda Genuine Automatic Transmission Fluid ATF DW1. It takes 2.7 quarts for refill. This is the number. Now this is the old crush washer, but if you're interested, the part number for this crush washer is 90471-PX4-000. Now it takes 2.7 quarts. So what I've done is I've just put 3 cups, which is 3/4 of a cup. I'm going to call that close enough to 0.7. Okay, I've put 2.7 quarts in, started the engine, I'm going to get it warm, I'm going to take it out for a test ride and check the level. One thing you want to do is when you put this in there, see that notch? Make sure that notch lines up with the notch in the tube there so it's down properly. Just like that.